in the heart of the Shadow Syndicate's fortress, a place where darkness itself seemed to breathe. A figure moved with impossible grace. This was Kale, a name whispered in taverns and royal courts alike. A master thief whose skills were the stuff of legend. Tonight, his target was the Syndicate, a notorious coven of warlocks feared throughout the lands. He glided past pressure plates that would trigger scything blades, his feet never making a sound on the cold stone. He slipped through shadows, a ghost unseen by the heavily armored guards patrolling the halls. His movements were a dance of precision and instinct, honed by a lifetime of flirting with danger. He reached the Grand Vault, its door a marvel of magical and mechanical engineering. For Kale, it was just another puzzle. With a set of finely crafted tools and a whisper of counterspells, the intricate locks clicked open one by one. Inside, resting on a velvet pedestal, was his prize, an ancient scroll, glowing with a soft, ethereal light. It was a map, older than any kingdom. As his fingers closed around it, a piercing alarm shattered the silence. Red magical words flared to life along the walls. Kale didn't hesitate. With the scroll secured, he sprinted back the way he came, a phantom melting into the chaos of the blaring alarms and shouting guards, escaping into the moonless night just as the fortress gates slammed shut. Days later, deep within the seclusion of a sun-dappled forest, Kale unrolled his prize. The strange symbols on the map swirled and rearranged themselves under his focused gaze, slowly revealing a path. This was it, the route to the legendary Sunstone of Eldoria, a treasure said to hold the light of 1,000 dawns. As the final path illuminated on the parchment, a voice, sharp and clear as a winter morning, cut through the quiet. That does not belong to you. Kale spun around, hand on his dagger, to face a woman emerging from the trees. She wore the garb of a forest warden, but her eyes held an ancient power. This was Lyra. She identified herself as a guardian, sworn to protect the Sunstone. "You think you've stolen a map to a treasure," she said, her voice stern but not unkind. "You're wrong. That scroll is a key, and the Sunstone is not a jewel to be plundered. It's a prison." Kel's confidence wavered. A prison? Lyra explained that the stone held a chaotic fire elemental, a being of pure destruction, powerful enough to scorch the world to ash. Releasing it would unleash an apocalypse. Before Kale could process this revelation, the forest darkened. The air grew cold, and sinister whispers slithered through the trees. Shadows coalesced, forming figures in dark robes the Shadow Syndicate had tracked him. At their lead was a man whose presence radiated pure malice, Lord Malachor. The map Malachor hissed, his voice a venomous rasp. "And the Sunstone's power shall be mine." Dark energy erupted from the warlock's hands, tendrils of shadow magic lashing out towards Kale and Lyra. Instinct took over. Kale dodged a bolt of necrotic energy, his daggers flashing. Lyra raised her staff, and a barrier of pure, golden light erupted, deflecting the attack. Seeing their common enemy, a silent understanding passed between them. A reluctant alliance was forged in the heat of battle. Kel's swift, evasive strikes and Lyra's powerful protective magic created a chaotic symphony. "We can't win here," Lyra shouted over the din of clashing spells. "We have to run." Together, they fought their way through the Syndicate's assault, disappearing deeper into the wild woods, the warlock's furious cries echoing behind them. The journey that followed was a trial by fire, earth, and magic. The map, once a guide to treasure, was now their only hope for survival, leading them through lands that existed more in myth than in reality. Their first major obstacle was the Whispering Chasm, a vast canyon where the winds carried maddening whispers of doubt and despair. The voices preyed on their deepest fears. Kale was haunted by visions of past failures, of friends lost to his reckless ambition. Lyra heard the cries of former guardians who had fallen protecting the stone. They had to rely on each other. Kale's unwavering focus cutting through the illusions, while Lyra's calming enchantments shielded their minds from the psychic assault. Next, they ascended the crystal mountains, towering peaks of jagged, shimmering crystal that reflected 1,000 distorted realities. The path was treacherous, the crystalline surfaces as sharp as glass and slippery as ice. The mountains were home to crystal golems, ancient constructs that awakened to defend their territory. Kel's agility was their greatest asset here. He leaped from spire to spire, drawing the creature's attention, his daggers chipping away at their crystalline forms. Meanwhile, Lyra found their weakness, a resonant frequency that could shatter the crystals. Chanting in an ancient tongue, she unleashed a wave of sonic energy that caused the golems to vibrate and crumble into glittering dust. They were learning to combine their skills, Kale's physical prowess and Lyra's magical knowledge, creating a partnership more powerful than either could be alone. Finally, the map led them to the heart of a dormant volcano, the air thick with sulfur and heat. At its center, on a massive obsidian altar, rested the SunStone. It pulsed with a brilliant, warm light, a star contained in a crystal heart. But they were not alone. Lord Malachor and his elite mages stood waiting, blocking their path. "You led me right to it," Malachor gloated, his eyes fixed on the stone. "Fools, I don't want to just possess the elemental. I will break its will and enslave it. The world will burn at my command." With a roar, Malachor unleashed the full force of his shadow magic. The cavern plunged into an unnatural darkness, punctuated by the fiery glow of the SunStone and the clash of spells. The final battle had begun. An epic confrontation erupted around the altar. Kale became a whirlwind of motion, a blur of silver and steel. He couldn't harm Malachor directly through his powerful shadow shields, but he could distract him. He darted in and out, his attacks fast and unpredictable, forcing the warlock to constantly defend himself, breaking his concentration. This gave Lyra the opening she needed. While Kale kept the Dark Lord occupied, she rushed to the altar, placing her hands on the SunStone. It pulsed violently as Malachor's powers sought to corrupt it. She began a desperate, complex ritual, chanting ancient words of power to reinforce the magical seals that held the fire elemental captive. The fate of the world now rested on their shoulders. The battle raged. Kale, battered and bruised, saw his chance. Faking a stumble, he drew Malachor into a reckless forward lunge. In that split second, Kale twisted, his leg sweeping out, not at Malachor, but at the staff the warlock held. With a sharp crack, the obsidian staff was knocked from his grasp, clattering across the stone floor. Disarmed and momentarily stunned, Malachor's concentration broke. At that exact moment, Lyra's voice rose in a final, thundering crescendo. The ritual was complete. A blinding wave of pure, golden light erupted from the SunStone, washing over the entire cavern. The chaotic shadow magic Malachor had wielded, no longer under his control, turned on him. It twisted and ripped, consuming its master in a vortex of his own darkness. With a final, agonized scream, Lord Malachor was gone, consumed by the very power he sought to command. As silence fell, the volcano, which had begun to tremble and spew lava, grew still. The oppressive darkness lifted, and the SunStone's warm, steady light filled the chamber, its prison secure once more. Lyra, exhausted but resolute, turned to Kale. "Thank you," she said, her voice filled with a gratitude that transcended words. "You saved us all." Looking at the SunStone, Kale finally understood. The thrill of the heist, the lure of gold and glory, it all seemed hollow now. He had spent his life taking things, but for the first time, he had helped protect something truly important. He looked from the glowing stone to the steadfast guardian beside him. My life as a treasure hunter is over, Kale said, his voice firm with the newfound purpose. There are other artifacts like this out there, other threats like Malachor. They need guardians. Lyra smiled, a genuine, hopeful smile. Then our work is just beginning, she replied. And so, the thief and the guardian stood together, no longer adversaries, but partners, ready to face a new adventure and defend the world's hidden secrets. Thanks for watching. If you enjoyed this story, make sure to like, subscribe, and hit that notification bell so you don't miss our next adventure. See you next time.